The Chicago Cubs DFA'd Jameson Taillon this past weekend after his terrible outing with the Pittsburgh Pirates, costing the Chicago Cubs another winnable series where they could have got the sweep. But also, with them doing this, it also shows that there is an urgency around the team to add starting pitching. And this almost guarantees that we will get another starting pitcher. And today's starting pitcher that we're looking at and going to talk about, guys, he's a real gem. And under team control, he's got a lot going for him. You're going to like this one. I hope the Cubs do this trade. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, do me a solid. If you are enjoying this content but haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you get the notifications when we drop an episode. I've been teetering around with trying new thumbnails and stuff like that, so I noticed some episodes kind of dropped off in people in viewership. Just due to that, because it's not the same thumbnail probably that you're used to. Like I said, but also at the same time, just if you hit that notification bell, then you'll be notified every single time Chicago Cubs Central drops a new episode, and then that way you can tune in. With that also being said, shout out to everybody on X, everybody on Spotify, everybody on all the channels. Like I said, on all the different stations that you view Chicago Cubs Central through. It really means a lot to me that you guys take the time to view the content. You know, we work really hard over here in the Chi-Town Sports Central family just to bring you guys quality Chicago sports content each and every single day. Now, with that being said, man, yeah, the Chicago Cubs do go ahead. They are up 2 games on the St. Louis Cardinals. I went to the game Monday night, had a blast. Actually, it was a really good time. I lost my voice. My throat still kind of hurts a little bit. It's Wednesday, and I'm still recovering from that game. But I had a blast, man. Took one of my good wrestling podcast buddies with me. He lives down near the St. Louis area. Tried to get up with Blake Caldwell while we were there, but due to the rain delay, we couldn't link. But like I said, of course, he was also locked into the game when it happened, when the Cubs were playing. So it's neither there nor there. But again, like I said, still a really great game. Had a lot of fun while I was there. Obviously, you guys saw I posted a little video. Make sure you guys also check out the YouTube shorts that are posted after each and every game now. Like I said, to make sure you guys stay locked in with those two. I give a game summary, tell you guys exactly what happened. We also are due on this channel for a watch along. It's been a little bit since we've done a watch along, so I'm gonna try to get one of those scheduled here very shortly. Next week, I am taking a couple days off of work for my birthday, so I'm thinking one of those days I will schedule a watch along. And like I said, just hang out together and watch the Cubs game together. So yeah, like I said, I will have more details on that towards the end of this week. Exactly what day and what game that will be. And yeah, man, the Chicago Cubs are in the midst of a playoff push. And with that being said, they made a drastic move by DFAing Jameson Taillon after his terrible start against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was a get-right game for J-Mo, and it was one of those games where I think it really teetered and decided his fate ultimately. Again, Jameson Taillon, I will not forget how he transformed himself last year into whatever that was, and he was just out of his mind, pitching out of his mind towards the end of last year for the Chicago Cubs. And again, I never want to I never want to like petition for somebody's job. I never want to see somebody lose their job. But at the same time, as an organization, you have to understand the timing of what you're trying to do. If you can't send Jameson Taillon up there to go against, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Brewers, whomever you're almost certain to guarantee to have to face, then I mean, what can you do? What can you do? So in my eyes, I look at this and I say to myself, like I said, that the Chicago Cubs are pushing towards trying to either win the division or get a wild card spot. And in order to do so, you got to at least have a steady 1, 2, 3. Matthew Boyd is a great 2. Like I said, and I'm hoping we get a one. Shota Imanaga has shown himself to be a lot better, and the reports came out yesterday from Taylor McGregor during the Chicago Cubs during the Chicago Cubs game that a certain pitcher is back ramping up, that being Ben Brown, who has showing no symptoms anymore of injury. So we could very well see Ben Brown back pitching for the Chicago Cubs, which is something I did not think that we were going to see. And we still don't know anything about Justin Steele. So, like I said, the Chicago Cubs have a lot going for them, a lot riding on them. And, like I said, it's going to come down to who the Chicago Cubs go pick up as a pitcher. Also, David Peterson has looked really, really good. Like I said, Monday night, I was there at the game. David Peterson did his thing. Used the defense behind him, kept the ball in the park, except for that one massive home run that he gave up. But again, it was just a single home run, just one run scored. It was not, with a bunch of men on base, but he hit that ball all the way to Big Mac land. That's pretty far, because that's far and then up. So, like I said, it was a beauty. It was a beauty to watch. But at the same time, he had a great outing. Colin Ray gave us a great outing yesterday. Now we turn the lineup over to the top of the order again. You'll see Matthew Boyd, as well as you will get to see Shota Imanaga on the getaway game day Thursday, as the Chicago Cubs then will prepare for the New York Yankees. They are the next club up, going to be waiting for us in Chicago. 1:20 start time for that Friday game. So, yeah, it'll be Dustin May, the Cardinals' best pitcher this season, going up against Matthew Boyd. And then, of course, it's going to be Shota Imanaga pitching against Roger Palante is the best pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's got a record of 11-6. Yeah, man, like I said, and then after that, we go up against the New York Yankees. So they got the Yankees, then the Dodgers right after that. So no rest for the wicked, but the Chicago Cubs are trying to get that playoff spot, and this is an important time for us. So listen, the MLB trade deadline is getting closer, and while everyone is talking about the biggest names available, I want to discuss a pitcher that isn't getting nearly enough attention. That is Seattle Mariners right-hander Emerson Hancock. So he's only 27 years old. He's having the best season of his career, and he's had multiple years of team control remaining. So today we're going to ask one simple question. Should Jed Hoyer make the move for Emerson Hancock? Now let's break it down. Who is Emerson Hancock? I know his name sounds crazy, right? Before we get into whether the Cubs should trade for him, let's talk about who he is. Hancock was selected 6th overall in the 2020 MLB draft by the Seattle Mariners. He was viewed as one of the safest college pitchers in the draft coming out of the University of Georgia. His strengths were he has great command, excellent mechanics, mid-90s fastball, multiple swing and miss secondary pitches. Now, for several years, injury slowed his development. Many people wondered if he'd ever become the pitcher Seattle expected. Fast forward to 2026, he's finally putting it all together. Now, the numbers. Let's look at the numbers for Hancock. Hancock has quietly become one of the better starters in the American League. His numbers, well, his ERA is 3.16. He has 105 innings pitched, 97 strikeouts, 1.01 whip, only 26 walks, which is huge, especially when you're at Wrigley. What stands out most is that he's attacking hitters. He's limiting free passes. He's pitching deep into games, and that's exactly what the Cubs rotation could use. His pitch mix, one reason I love his fit is because of how he attacks hitters. His arsenal includes a fastball that sits 95, 96. He has a sinker, a sweeper, a cutter, a curveball, a changeup. Now that's 6 different pitches. He's not overpowering hitters like Paul Skeens. Instead, he keeps hitters guessing on what he's coming with next. That's exactly the type of pitcher the Cubs have developed successfully. Look at what they've done with the pitcher like Matthew Boyd or like Shota Imanaga. The Cubs love pitchers who throw strikes and can sequence multiple pitches. And Hancock checks every single box for the Chicago Cubs when it comes to that. Now, the next question is, well, why do the Cubs need him? Well, let's be honest. The Cubs rotation still has questions. Jordan Managa, he's been doing better. Matthew Boyd, great. He's come back. But after that, Ben Brown has dealt with injuries. Cade Horton is still out for the season. Jameson Taillon got DFA'd. You're going to let Javier Assad pitch against the Yankees this weekend. We'll see how that goes. Justin Steele is still coming back from injury. And if you're serious about competing every year, you need to have another reliable starter, not just for this season, for the next 4 years. And that's where Hancock becomes interesting. And here's why I think Hancock makes more sense than some of the other bigger names. It's because he's under team control through 2030. Guys, that matters. Instead of renting someone for 2 months like a Tyreek Skubal, you're getting a pitcher entering his prime. That's how sustainable contenders stay competitive. The Cubs have enough money to sign free agents. What they need is long-term value, and Hancock actually provides that. Now, obviously, you got to look at the concern side, too. You got to be fair on both sides. There are reasons Seattle could be willing to trade him. His expected numbers aren't quite as dominant as his ERA. He doesn't strike out hitters at an elite level. Some advanced metrics suggest he benefited from good defense and some favorable batted ball luck. That doesn't means he's bad. It just means that, he's been kind of flying under the radar a little bit. It also means that this could be his ceiling instead of the beginning of another level. And that's the gamble. Technically, he's not a prospect, but technically, like I said, he's still a very young pitcher in the game. 2020 was when he was drafted. So he's somebody that you're taking a chance on. He's not somebody that's a guarantee. But I'm also of the mindset of I like young, controllable pitchers versus going out there and getting older starters that just don't have it anymore or have it on one night, but then don't have it on the next. But the real question here, and I know you all are thinking this, is what would it cost? So Seattle isn't going to give him away. If I'm Jed Hoyer, I'm comfortable moving a couple of prospects outside the Cubs' top tier. Maybe a package built around Kevin Alcantara, one pitching prospect, a lower level lottery ticket. But here's where I draw the line. I'm not trading Matt Shaw. I'm not trading Cade Horton. I'm not trading Moises Ballesteros. Anybody like that. Those guys are way too valuable for somebody that's still taking a gamble on. However, we could also see Pedro potentially get traded for him, which would be tough because he's playing great baseball right now. But because he's playing great baseball right now and because he's playing every day because Matt Shaw is injured, again, that's why you're seeing a lot of teams kind of look at the Chicago Cubs and say, okay, we'll take him. I mean, he's a guy that could play all around the diamond. So that makes him very, very attractable to a lot of teams. If Seattle demands one of those names I just listed, though, I'm walking away. And Seattle has consistently been looking for offense. Pitching has been their strength. Run production has often been their weakness. If the Cubs can offer controllable bats while adding another quality starter, this is one of those trades that could benefit both teams, in which very rarely do we see both teams fully benefit. But I do think that this is absolutely one of those trades where we could see both teams kind of come out on good terms. I mean, like I said, so we'll see what happens. But the final verdict, the real question is, would I trade for Emerson Hancock? Absolutely. Absolutely. Not because I think he'll become an ace, but because I think he'll become exactly what championship teams need, a dependable number 3 starter who gives you 6 quality innings every 5th day. Those pitchers are incredibly valuable during the season. Sometimes the smartest trades aren't the flashiest ones. They're the ones that quietly solve your biggest problem. You guys always say we need innings eaters. We need guys that are going to eat innings, guys that are going to be able to come out and pitch for us and stuff like that. Well, Emerson Hancock is not only an innings eater, he's an out-getter. And that's something that Craig Counsell has often lauded that the Chicago Cubs need. Now, you've heard from multiple sources and multiple teams and multiple people within the Chicago Cubs organization that we got to get better. We have got to get better, make the team better. PCA challenged Jed Hoyer. Craig Counsell challenged Jed Hoyer. Remember, Jed Hoyer challenged them to make him have to make the decision? Well, the Chicago Cubs are 15 games above 500. They clearly are in the driver's seat of the first wild card position and could be slowly creeping up on the Milwaukee Brewers for the Central Division crown. It's a gauntlet, baby. Make the team better. put us in a position to get us there. But what do you got? What do you guys think, Cub fans? Should Jed Hoyer make a run at Emerson Hancock? What would you be willing to give up? Drop your trade packages in the comments below. If you've enjoyed today's breakdown, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and Chicago Cubs Central, and ring the notification bell so that you never miss any of the content we got going over here. Listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure we got to fly that W too, right? Make sure we fly the W twice for the Chicago Cubs, who have won 2 games against none other than the St. Louis Cardinals. Going to try to win the series on tonight. Tonight will be a little bit tougher with Dustin May on the mound, but the Chicago Cubs have been playing great baseball so far. We got Matthew Boyd coming out, so I feel really good about this game. But until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.